Massachusetts is a small state with a big story. From barrier islands to the banks of the Charles, water shapes our lives, where we live, how we work, and what we stand to lose. In a warming world, that water tells the truth. And today we follow it, from the ponds of the Vineyard to the streets of Boston, to see how climate change is rewriting New England's map, one tide, one storm, and one decision at a time. We'll visit coastal towns fighting erosion, farmers reinventing wetlands, and scientists turning rivers into living laboratories, each finding new ways to adapt and protect what makes this place home. All that and more in WBZ's Climate Watch Special. Are we prepared for a future of heavier and heavier rainfall?
This is a global challenge that we're having to deal with.
This beach was about another 100 yards out.
There was an initial panic. What if this takes over, and how long does it take for a tree to decline?
The signs were ready to go. The maps went up the same day.
We're waiting for it to grow back and see if it actually works the way that it was supposed to.
And then we let Mother Nature take it from there, passing it on to the next generation.
For the island, for the Cape.
Welcome to WBZ's Climate Watch Special. I'm Jacob Wycoff. Over the last 5 years, I've traveled across New England, documenting stories on how our climate is changing. We begin where land meets sea, on Martha's Vineyard, where one pond is at the center of a community-wide effort to protect water quality and preserve a fragile ecosystem. High above the southern part of the island, the Atlantic collides with the shore. Just beyond it, 200 acres of brackish water. This is Chilmark Pond. It looks inviting, but a danger lurks in these waters. Over the last several years, toxic blooms of cyanobacteria have taken over.
Martha's Vineyard generally is just paradise.
Arnie Spivak and Sharon Siegel live on Chilmark Pond. They remember a time when the pond was a place for play, a passageway to the beach, and the wonders of summer.
My grandchildren used to swim in this pond, and they can't anymore.
Cyanobacteria, sometimes called blue-green algae, are microscopic organisms that thrive in warm, nutrient-rich water. They feed on nitrogen and phosphorus, and in the summer they can multiply fast enough to choke a pond and produce toxins that can make people and pets sick.
This pond is really delicate.
Emily Reddington leads the Great Pond Foundation and says the challenge was finding a fix that wouldn't hurt the ecosystem they're trying to save.
Instead of adding a chemical or disturbing the environment, it uses sonic pulses targeted specifically at cyanobacteria to keep them from growing out of control or blooming.
This is the LG Sonic MPC buoy, a solar-powered savior for Chilmark Pond. Every 30 minutes, it checks the water's vital signs and sends out sound waves that block algae from the sunlight it needs to grow. Without the buoy, the blooms can surface, spread, and release those dangerous toxins. The buoy is treating the bloom, a medicine of sorts, but the problem runs much deeper. The blooms, they spawn from contaminants seeping into the soil. That comes from runoff and aging septic systems surrounding it. This is not a Chilmark Pond issue. This is not a Martha's Vineyard issue. This is not a Massachusetts issue. This is a worldwide issue.
100%. This is a global challenge that we're having to deal with. Across the world, temperatures are increasing. The precipitation is changing. The pressures on the environment are increasing over time.
To give you an idea of just how big of a problem this is, at any given time, dozens of cities and towns in Massachusetts have closed beaches because of cyanobacteria. And it's not just small bodies of water either. For example, these algae blooms are also a common occurrence in 3 of the Great Lakes. That's why Reddington's team heads out daily to gather water for testing.
The more data, the better.
Once the water's back at the Vineyard Haven lab, it's analyzed, sample by sample.
This machine will tell us specifically what phytoplankton or what combination of phytoplankton is kind of growing and giving the water that hue. What we're registering is kind of a moderate to high concentration of cyanobacteria.
Are you diagnosing the pond here?
Yeah, in some sense, we are.
All this data goes straight to the Board of Health, the people who ultimately make the call on public safety.
The signs were ready to go, the maps went up the same day, and we kind of have a weekly workflow for most of the sampling, but if it's a bloom, those are posted the same day.
Back on the pond, those who live along the water, like President of Chilmark Pond Association, Amy Salzman, say the new sonic buoy is bringing a new sense of hope.
If it works, it could be a game changer for the island, for the Cape.
She believes people and nature share a symbiotic relationship, and losing something like the pond to climate change would be unimaginable.
We've gotten so enclosed in our urban world that one of the most important things we can do, I think, for nature is to get people out in it. And restoring this pond is such an opportunity to reconnect people to it.
One buoy won't save this pond on its own, but here, hope floats, and with it, a fight to keep these waters alive for generations to come. From the calm water of Chilmark Pond to the open Atlantic, the challenges only grow larger. Just down the island in Edgartown, the ocean is claiming more and more of the shoreline. Each storm is redrawing the map, and it's pushing the front line of climate change just a bit closer to home. On Martha's Vineyard, the ocean is taking more than it gives. Each storm cutting deeper into South Beach in Edgartown.
The storms are coming a bit harder and faster.
The town is racing to rebuild dunes, replant grass, and hold the line. But even Edgartown's conservation agent, Kara Shemeth, admits one storm can erase years of work in just 24 hours. Do you ever feel like your efforts are futile?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially right after a big one hits and we have to shut down.
But the strongest of the winds and the big ones keep coming. Locations: Cape Ann, the North and South Shore, and then the Cape and Islands.
The strongest would be across Cape Cod and the islands.
The island was slammed by 3 back-to-back-to-back storms. December 18th, 2023, January 10th, 2024, and again just 2 days later, January 12th. That December storm opened up a sinkhole on Atlantic Drive and breached nearby ponds, flooding fresh water with salt water and killing fish. It also nearly took the beach's guard shack as water rushed inside. Then another storm in January finished the job, leaving the building destroyed. In each storm, thousands of pounds of debris washed ashore, from broken staircases to construction wood, even pieces of roadway.
So when I was growing up here, this beach was about another 100 yards out.
This is more than sand slipping away. South Beach is Edgartown's only public south-facing beach, drawing up to 4,000 people on a summer day.
It's a huge economic thing for everybody in this town. If you don't have the beaches, you know, what's the point of going to Martha's Vineyard?
Beach director David Espindel sees the damage up close.
We literally see chunks of our beach fall out of a dune like this and actually get washed further and further east.
Believe it or not, this used to be one of the widest portions of the beach. In fact, the beach would extend about 200 more feet out to where the ocean is right now. Now, it's one of the narrowest. One reason Edgartown is able to fight back, its own dredge. The town is just one of 2 in Massachusetts that own a municipal dredge, a workhorse that has saved an estimated $18 million by supplying local sand. The operation can move dump trucks worth of sand onto the beach every few minutes, material used to rebuild dunes at South Beach and Norton Point. Without it, officials say, the island would be years behind in restoration. But even this workhorse has its limits. Mother Nature can strip away in hours what takes weeks to put back.
You're fighting Mother Nature, and unfortunately she will win. So how do you slow her down is the big question mark here.
And so the work continues, because for this community, walking away isn't an option.
Everybody being out here and being in nature and being able to swim and experience the beach, it's good for the soul.
Good for the soul and essential for the vineyard's future, no matter how the shoreline changes. Most days as a meteorologist, I spend my time forecasting the weather, what tomorrow will bring, how much rain we'll see, or how strong the wind will be. But what we're seeing now goes beyond a 7-day forecast. It's not measured in hours or days, it's measured in generations. It's a slow shift that you only notice when you stop and look back. After the break, we head inland, where farmers are rewriting a story of resilience.
WBZ's Climate Watch is brought to you by Safety Insurance. We'll help you manage life's storms.
Out here, the story of our changing climate looks a bit different. It's not so much crashing waves or shifting dunes, it's fields that are either too wet or not wet enough. For Massachusetts cranberry growers, adapting means blending old traditions with new ideas. For Jared Rhodes, a fourth-generation cranberry farmer in Carver, Massachusetts, this 30-acre project is taking his family's land back in time. What do you hope this place looks like in 10 years?
In 10 years, I hope it looks like a natural swamp and just kind of everything that it may have looked like, before we were here.
As cranberry prices fall due to global competition and costs increase due to labor, utilities, and extreme weather, cranberry farmers like Rhodes are part of a state program that incentivizes farmers to turn unproductive bogs back into wetlands. These are the type of bogs that Rhodes and his family are restoring. The one behind me is about 95% done, and it's only a matter of time before native plants return. Massachusetts has restored over 500 acres of wetlands with another 500 acres planned. The state allocates around $1 million a year to these projects while leveraging other local and federal grants to do these restorations. For Massachusetts cranberry farmers, the program is one way to preserve their land as a generation of farmers nears retirement.
They want to make sure that the land that they've tended to for so long is in good hands, whether that be a restoration program or passing it on to the next generation.
They keep the land, but others can enjoy it too. When it works, it looks like this, the Eel River headwaters in Plymouth. 60 acres of former bogs, now beautiful wetlands, filtering water, storing carbon, providing storm resilience, and open for hiking and wildlife.
I see that the trees that I saw planted, over 10 years ago are now taller than I am.
Beth Lambert oversees Massachusetts Wetland Restoration Program, including projects here at Eel River and in Carver. And the thing is, these new wetlands aren't so new.
Many of the cranberry farms in Massachusetts were constructed on wetlands. And what we're doing is we're restoring those underlying drivers of water, the soil, and then we let Mother Nature take it from there.
We see, the new meandering stream.
Back on Rhodes Farm, streams now wind where vines once grew.
It's cool to see it kind of all bare and just kind of waiting for it to grow back and see if it actually works the way that it was supposed to.
And what once grew cranberries now grows a possibility. Restoring wetlands isn't just a win for farmers, it could be a blueprint for something much bigger. In Boston, it's happening along the Charles River, where innovation and ecology are coming together to prepare the city for what's next. On the Charles River near the Longfellow Bridge, you may have noticed something is floating. At first glance, it looks like an island.
Artificial wetlands look to bring back some of that function and that biodiversity to help with overall health of the river.
Installed in 2020, this floating wetland is a 700 square foot platform, planted with 3,000 native species. To really understand what this project looks like, here we go, we're off to see the wetland. With Taylor Leonard from the Charles River Conservancy as my guide, I pushed off from the dock and paddled straight to the wetland.
Looking under the floating wetland, you'll find that there are roots as long as the plants are tall. The roots are what's providing local habitat and home for zooplankton, home for local fish.
The science centers around zooplankton, tiny microscopic crustaceans that feed on algae. The Conservancy hopes that by providing zooplankton a home, that they can help the river fight back against algal blooms that thrive in the summer heat. Laura Jasinski is the executive director of Charles River Conservancy.
The floating wetland is an example of a nature-based solution that's trying to mimic nature to make the river healthier.
The floating wetland just won a 2025 Boston Society of Landscape Architects Award, recognized for its impact and potential to be copied in other cities. But not just copied nationally, also expanding locally.
We're looking at opportunities to bring more wetlands in the kind of tens of thousands of square feet level to places where it's appropriate along the Charles River.
It's such a privilege to be able to work on a project that's going to have that type of impact with the river, with the community.
This floating wetland bringing new life to an old river. We've learned what happens when nature works with us, but what happens when nature works against us? Coming up after the break, we meet an invader that's taking over New England coastlines in the delicious effort to fight back.
WBZ's Climate Watch is brought to you by Safety Insurance. We'll help you manage life's storms.
We usually talk about climate change in headlines, heat records, stronger storms, rising seas, but not all signs of change make the news. Some crawl, some slither, some spread quietly until the damage is done. From the ocean floor to the forest canopy, invasive species are rewriting the rules of survival and forcing us to adapt right alongside them. In the marshes of Duxbury, Massachusetts, Jeff Ladd grew up fishing these waters alongside his father and grandfather. But just beneath the surface, this iconic New England fishery is changing fast. Warming waters are reshaping the ecosystem.
They're like cockroaches of the sea, basically. You can't kill these things. I mean, we've heard stories of them coming back from a frozen state and crawling around restaurants.
These are green crabs, one of the world's most invasive species. And with few natural predators here, cold winter water was the only thing keeping their population in check. But climate change is altering that equation. New England's coast is warming faster than almost anywhere on Earth, especially in winter, fueling a green crab boom.
There's millions of green crab here in the bay, so it's had an impact on the clamming industry.
These crabs are voracious. They devour native crabs, clams, even young lobster. So Ladd is doing what most never imagined, fishing for a species no one wanted. Today's haul, 2 50-pound bags. That's pretty good for this early in the season, but during peak season, he could get up to 2,000 pounds. So the big question is, can people be convinced to eat them?
The idea here is to get some restaurants to use it and bring more money to the fishery.
Sharon St. Hour's family has been in the seafood industry since 1979. After seeing the damage green crabs were doing, she wanted to find a way to make them useful.
I thought, well, we already make a seafood broth powder. I wonder if it would make a good seafood broth.
Last year, she turned 5,000 pounds of crab into 1,000 gallons of broth sold to commercial kitchens. And she believes, cheers, with a few taste tests, demand could start to boil over. That's really good.
It definitely has a delicious flavor, and I hope people don't think of it as something that they'll try on a dare.
If demand grows, Ladd and St. Hour say prices might follow, creating incentives to fish more and ease pressure on the local ecosystem. And with how quickly green crabs can reproduce, over 185,000 eggs a year, there's plenty of crabs to catch.
Everyone that you take out has the potential to prevent 185,000 of these things from either being in Duxbury Bay or going out with the tide to another communities.
And each catch counts. The invasion doesn't just stop at the coastline, it's happening inland too, where it's a quieter spread, hidden in the leaves, and it's threatening one of New England's most recognizable species of trees. It's a rainy day in Newport, Rhode Island, but that isn't stopping Matthew Acino from doing his job. With hose in hand, he's treating the beech trees at Chateau-sur-Mer. During the Gilded Age, wealthy Newport families collected more than mansions and art.
They collected plant material as well. They wanted all the latest introductions from Asia, and they populated this entire neighborhood with an arboretum that's beyond compare.
These trees have survived hurricanes and harsh winters, but now face their fiercest fight, a microscopic nematode.
One tree would be fine and the next tree would be suffering.
Jim Donahue is from the Preservation Society of Newport.
There was an initial panic. What if this takes over and how long does it take for a tree to decline? But we were lucky to be able to get on top of it right away.
Experts call it beech leaf disease. First spotted in Ohio in 2012, it's now spread into New England. The microscopic worms attack the buds and leaves. Caretakers are throwing everything they can to save the trees here. They've had good results by either spraying the leaves or injecting fertilizer right into the roots.
We don't have a magic wand. We can't fix it permanently for right now, but we might find that over the course of the next decade or so, we might see less symptoms.
These beaches aren't just historic landmarks. They create a deep canopy that houses countless numbers of animals, and the rush to save them isn't just here in Newport, it's also happening in Massachusetts.
So we're in the heart of this beautiful grove of copper beech.
At the Ames Estate in Northeaston, Joanne Vieira from the trustees showed us the impact firsthand.
And when you look at this tree, it's still quite healthy, still vigorous, but you can start to see in this lower canopy the damage to those leaves.
The nematodes leave a very distinct striping on the leaf. Over time, the damage worsens. The leaves crinkle, the growth slows, and the canopy begins to thin. In tree after tree.
They've lost tissue between the veins, which is where you usually see the nematode damage.
The damage stretches across the entire estate, and saving them comes at a steep price. To protect these century-old giants, both groups are shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars each year, an extraordinary price to preserve living history.
And while all that may sound expensive, what do you do when the entire forest is infected?
In New Hampshire, beech trees make up about 20% of the forest, and in Maine, nearly half. Experts warn losing them could rewrite the landscape.
Truly devastating, truly devastating. If our native trees are devastated by this, there will be big openings in the forest.
And just like the beeches in Newport, the trustees are saying their treatments are showing promise, killing the nematodes and giving the trees a fighting chance. And Vieira remains hopeful that what they're doing now will keep the beeches standing for generations to come.
These injections are used on other trees that it works very well on, but it's still an experiment.
For now, an experiment, one that could decide the future of New England forests.
Every story we've told so far has one thing in common. It's nature trying to find balance once again. But what if it's not nature that's out of balance? It's us. Coming up, we head to the city where the system meant to protect us is drowning in its own design.
WBZ's Climate Watch is brought to you by Safety Insurance. We'll help you manage life's storms.
For decades, Massachusetts has worked to clean up its waterways, turning once polluted harbors and rivers into symbols of renewal. But it wasn't always that way.
500 million gallons of barely treated sewage a day into the harbor.
That moment led to one of the biggest environmental cleanups in U.S. history. Now, decades later, the MWRA is weighing a new plan that would formally allow some sewage overflows into the Charles River by reclassifying its water quality standards, a move critics say could undo years of progress. Here's where that story began and why the fight for clean water is far from over. Just off the red line at Alewife, a different story flows through the trees.
People don't realize that combined sewer overflows in this brook are untreated, 100% untreated.
Kristen Anderson co-founded the group Save the Alewife Brook after floodwater backed into her home, bringing sewage and sickness with it.
I got sick, my neighbors got sick, and I don't want this to happen to other people.
The Alewife Brook is a small stream and a tributary to the Mystic River. In 2023, 20 million gallons of untreated sewage flowed from that single outfall. That's 2/3 of all the untreated sewage that flowed into this brook all year. So how does this happen? In dry weather, the sewer system sends waste to Deer Island for treatment. But during a heavy rain, stormwater floods those same sewage pipes. When the system gets overwhelmed, it overflows straight into our rivers and streams. This is called combined sewer overflow. And in places like Alewife Brook, it's raw and untreated, allowing harmful bacteria to stream right into our waterways.
The backbone of the metropolitan sewer system was installed a century ago or so, and in a sense, we are living with that system still.
That's David Stoff, also a member of Save the Alewife Brook. He's talking about Cambridge, Somerville, and Arlington, where pipes built in the early 1900s are still carrying the load for a region that's exploded in population and development.
The outfalls are all in the exact same places. In all of these photographs, you can see manhole covers, and they're in the same places. And that sewer system was designed to transport waste directly to the harbor for dilution.
About 4 dozen CSOs are active across the Boston area. Some are maintained by the MWRA, others by Boston Water and Sewage, and even more by Cambridge, Chelsea, and Somerville.
In the Northeast, we're going to get more intense rainfall.
Dr. Tracy Fanara is founder of Inspector Planet and one of the nation's leading voices on climate and water systems.
The way that we've always done engineering design is based on historical patterns. We never really use the projected storm likelihood with climate change. That's just not something that we've done in the past, which is causing a lot of problems.
According to Climate Central, Boston's rainfall intensity has increased by 8% in the last 50 years. This is a key indicator in the probability of flash flooding.
No, the system right now, it's not built to withstand that. But it's something that we've been including in our updated CSO control plan.
But planning is just one step. Actually breaking ground will take years.
We need to be in an agreement of what's best for both the cities as individual entities, but also as the region.
In its 2019 master plan, the MWRA says additional system capacity is available at CSO outfalls. These CSOs aren't just a backup. They are a planned pressure valve built into a system that was never designed for today's development, population, or climate.
This should be a water body that we should be able to live near safely. It should be an amenity and not a hazard.
The challenges we've shown you today won't be solved overnight, but they can be solved. From old wisdom to new technology, people across New England are showing us exactly what action looks like. Because the story of our climate isn't written yet, and what happens next depends on us. I'm Jacob Wycoff. Thank you so much for watching WBZ's Climate Watch Special. Wishing you all blue skies.